I mean, as we sit here tonight, in practically every home in this country, this thing will be switched on.
Yeah.
And it will occupy, for most of the people, the evening hours. Anything to say about that at all?
It's a potential social menace of the first magnitude.
Thank you, Joe Mandica, Australia's gift to the world of pop music. Joe is the writer, producer, and performer of our pop culture theme song, and he is a true friend of the show. And how you doing, everybody? This is your pal and fellow fan of pop culture, Steve Ludwig, welcoming you to another edition of Steve Ludwig's Classic Pop Culture, right here at planetludwig.com. Congratulations. We have all landed safely and peacefully at Planet Ludwig. And on this edition, show number 163, our guest is a gentleman who proudly served the country as a member of the U.S. Air Force, and who then pursued his other dream, and continues as an actor, producer, director, and writer who has appeared in movies, TV, music videos, you name it. Mr. David DeCicco joins us right after we check out this small sampling of his acting.
What do you want from me? What do you want from me? I'm not scared of you. I'm not scared of you anymore. You can get away from me. Get the hell away from me. Get away from me. Get away from me. Leave me alone.
Harry?
Get back! Now! Now! Back! You arrested my brother, but you forgot one, motherfucker! Get in the kitchen, and then I'll decide what to do. Gun, knife, knife, gun. Oh, I think you made my decision for me. And knife's a little more personal, so think about it. Come on, sweetie. Are you gonna tell Sarah?
This has nothing to do with Sarah. Are you?
Of course not, but you're sort of...
What?
Engaged?
You're gonna judge me now.
No.
Good.
So she shaves it?
She does indeed, my skinny white brother.
Wow.
I know, right? And she'll make you feel special too. Just think about those legs wrapped around you.
Does she, know...
Why she's here? Of course, we talked about it.
So you'll, like, leave?
Yeah. I'll leave. She'll be all yours.
No wonder why I don't learn anything ever.
Because you don't do your own problems.
Really? Thank you.
Well,
hey, what?
Don't rip it. Come on, I got a question.
A question?
Yeah, I got a question.
I paid you, no questions.
Hello, you help me, I help you.
I pay you, you do the problem.
Maybe you could just do your own problem then.
If you fucking say a word, take out that headband! Wait! Get your hands over here! Take care of him!
Our guest, as you can tell from that acting reel, is a wonderful actor who's worked on projects such as Steven Spielberg's The Post, Martin Scorsese's The Irishman, TV's Gotham, Quantico, Blue Bloods, and among so many other projects that we'll talk about right now. It's my pleasure to finally, I've been waiting to talk to him for so long, to welcome to classic pop culture, actor, producer, writer, director, Mr. David DeCicco. Dave, welcome to the show.
Hello, Steve. Thanks for having me, and thank you for your time. That's the most precious thing you can give anybody, and I'm very honored to be on the show. You do a great job.
Oh, thank you, Dave. It's an honor to have you on. And, speaking of being honored, before we even start talking about your still very busy acting career, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for your service to our country as a member of the Air Force. So thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Priceless time.
Yeah. What's it like? What was it like being in the Air Force? And
well, out of high school, I got a job at ShopRite, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. And then a friend of mine's father was in the Air Force, and he suggested that we give that a try. So I was like, there's nothing more than I can be, that would make me proud than to serve my country. Because I want to do something that I could be proud of, and just instead of just showing up to a job and not having any clue what I want to do.
Sure.
And I knew that I would get the structure that I needed to do that also.
Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful thing, Dave. Thank you again. Thank you for serving our country, and we all appreciate it.
And it was, to answer your question, what was it like? It was intense. It was hard. It was rewarding, and I would do maybe some of it again.
Some from column A, some from column B.
Yeah.
I would imagine you. You mentioned the word discipline. I would imagine you applied some of that discipline from the Air Force into your acting field.
That's true.
Yeah.
And also just my life in general.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like for example, if you're not early, you're late. So when it comes to getting to sets, I like to give myself extra time, in case you hit traffic, and you don't want the crew, the production team, to be stressing out about where you are.
Yeah,
they have their own stuff to do, and also when you get there, you don't really know where you're going most of the time.
Mm-hmm. That's a great motto to live by.
Yeah.
If you're not early, you're late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
15 minutes early is fine, not a couple hours.
Yeah, right.
Clear that up.
Then you become a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
This guy's still here. Is he really in the movie? No. Well, listen. Why don't we get talking about your my goodness, what a voluminous career you've had so far, and it's still going so strong. Can I just throw a few titles at you, and you can give us a little thumbnail of each one? Sure. Now, one of your projects was The Post, Steven Spielberg's The Post.
Yes.
How did that? What was that one all about?
Well, it's funny because I was a military soldier, and we were at the filming. So we were at the campgrounds, basically in like the war zone, and
right.
So during that, so we're just doing whatever they had background people do, typical whatever. And so during one of the breaks, I like to be a little smooth, I would call it, and kind of eavesdrop on what the crew is talking about. Like their dialogue with the director, because they're doing these walkie-talkies, so you can kind of hear. And then so I knew that they were looking for somebody for something. So, so as soon as when the production members came over to where the background people were, I kind of, backed up in front of them a little bit, didn't bump into them, kind of stood off in their peripheral vision, because I know that when they go, they have a very little bit of time. So to find the type of person they're looking for. So he goes to me, he goes, "Hey, you, come on." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Hey, what's this going to be?" And it was very, very challenging. So what it was they had us do specific things in mind. So I was pulled aside with another actor, and we were tasked to put the war paint on each other, which is like a big, chalky kind of not chalky, like oily kind of crayon. So you know the black, the brown, the green, stripes,
camouflage stuff, right?
Yes. So they said so they're recording all of us doing whatever, and they're recording over my shoulder of me putting this the war paint on the guy. So and then he was supposed to put it on me. So they got a good footage of that happening. But so then it came time for him to put the makeup on me, and they're like, "Oh, we're not doing that."
Oh,
I was like, "This is gonna be my face on the camera. What do you mean you're not doing it?" So, and it's funny because the place is all muddy, right? And Spielberg comes over, and he's dressed perfectly clean. He's wearing white shoes in the mud, and I swear he didn't get any mud on his shoes because it's Steven Spielberg, and you don't mess up anything that he does. And he's wearing a nice fancy scarf, and just like, he sticks out like a for lack of a better analogy, a sore thumb.
Right.
And so they said to me, they go, "Come here. We're going to have you do something special. We're going to have you put your own makeup on, the war paint. You're going to be holding this mirror, and then so we're going to have you sit over here, and it's going to be just you." So so they're setting that up. They had like a wall of sandbags for me to sit on, and then they're like, No, the height is just, there's an issue here. We're not really good. I was like, "I'll do whatever you want.
I'll cut my legs off."
I got down in front of the wall, and I was squatting down, pretending I was sitting on something, and it was the most uncomfortable feeling. I was like, "Is this good? Is this good?" They're like, "Don't walk away from me."
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, it's okay. And they adjusted the levels or whatever so I could do it. So it was me, it was the cameraman, it was the assistant director of Spielberg, and that was it.
Man, that is so cool.
And the background people, they're all like looking at me, and I'm just like, and it was very difficult, mind you, because they had me hold the mirror with my left hand and use my right hand to use the oil makeup stick, camera or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I'm reaching across with my right hand to the top left corner of my head, and I'm going down like it's so awkward. And the cameraman is over my shoulder, and I can't even see myself in the mirror because he has to see me in the mirror.
Right? Yeah, and he can't be in the mirror.
I'm like, "Don't screw this up." And it's like, I got it. Okay, angle the mirror this way. Angle, do this, do that. I'm like, and then like, so I did it, and Spielberg said, "Good job." And that was it.
Nice.
And I'm like, "Yeah, all right." So naturally, I called my very, very supportive wife, and I was like, "Guess what just happened?" I'm like, I didn't get a speaking role, but I worked with Spielberg one-on-one, and he said I did a good job.
Wow, man.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just funny because you see stuff in movies and TV, and you think it's so easy. The littlest thing could be so hard.
Right, yeah.
Given the circumstances, or you don't even really know what's going on because they make it look natural on the screen.
Dave,
so, that was that.
I have to ask you, how do you stay cool in front of Steven Spielberg? You just do, right? That's why you're an actor.
You don't look at him.
Yeah, right. Man.
So I guess that's really it.
That is, man. That is what a story. What a great story.
And it was funny because when I first saw him, I thought of his appearance on Animaniacs.
Right.
Because like I said, like he was just looked all perfect and everything, and the setting was definitely not perfect, so he was like drawing up.
Man.
And he was very calm and cool, and just one of the guys.
Oh wow, that's cool to hear. That's very nice to hear. How about Scorsese's The Irishman? You worked on that project.
Yeah, that was something I just wanted to do. That was during my time at the New York Film Academy. Mm-hmm. And anytime you have an opportunity to be on set with those guys, which was De Niro and Pesci and Pacino. I was on set for 2 of his movies and never saw him. He was never did a scene with him or anything. But I figured, I just wanted to do it,
Yeah, sure.
And,
experience.
And it was great to see them as in person. because they're the cream of the crop, you know. And I've worked, I've been on set with the cream of the crop people, but the more you see, just the more you feel like one of them.
Yeah.
And since I was being taught so well at the Film Academy, I had so much confidence. I just sat there and I saw De Niro walk away from where they were filming. And he sat down and he put his back up against the wall and he put his head back and he was just looking up and, we were facing this, each other. And I'm just like, I could go right up to you and I could do lines. Let's go right now. It didn't happen because I didn't get the chance.
Right.
But just to see him and Pesci and Scorsese. And Scorsese is really short. Really short.
Wow.
Which could be why he makes powerful movies. Big, tall, powerful movies,
Right, yeah. It must be. I know with the parts that you had in the projects that we were just talking about. Do they tell background actors to kind of stay away from the big stars, or is that just understood? You don't even have to be told that.
That is always the rule on set.
Yeah.
But you get a feel for the set when you're on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because you mentioned Gotham.
Yeah.
And that set was like a family.
Yeah, let's talk about that right now. It
was so cool.
Yeah, why don't we go right to Gotham?
Yeah, so my friend, some guy, Solomon Shertock, I believe that's his name.
Yeah, something like that. I think I've heard the name.
That guy. He and I would go to the conventions and, meet these celebrities. And he was like, Dave, you want to talk to these people. Listen, you're going to be doing Gotham. You should go up to these people so they become familiar with you. And, and it helps. And it definitely helps. And so I'm on the set of Gotham. And actually, I'm in holding at this point, which is where they have the food services and they have the wardrobe and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. And at this point, I met Ben McKenzie twice. And so he's standing in the hallway by the elevator, and I go over there, and he's talking to somebody. He's facing me, so I'm standing behind the person he's talking to, and he looks at me, he acknowledges me with the head nod, and then kind of like a 1 second thing, and then he's talking, finishes talking to the person he's talking to. The guy walks away, and he goes, "Hey, I'm so happy to see that you made it." And he goes, we started talking for a little while, and he's like, tell your wife, I said hello and stuff. It was just a really great conversation. Mm-hmm. So then, we're on set, and then I take, we're on a break, and they have a Italian ice truck come up, and it's like nobody's even in the locker room. They had tents, but the characters, the main people, they just walk around and just, you go to the Italian ice truck. They don't have anybody bring it to them. So I see Drew Powell, who played Butch, who was Penguin's right-hand man. And I tap him on the shoulder, and he turns around, he goes, "Hey!" And he gives me like the biggest hug, and it's just like, just like talking, like we've known each other our whole lives.
Oh, that is so
and
cool.
Everybody was so nice, you know, and and then between takes, I saw Penguin, I know when to talk to people, when not to. He had his head down. His mouth is moving. He's not saying anything out loud. You could tell he was going over his lines. Mm-hmm. So when I met him at a convention later on, I said, "I figured you're going over your lines, and I didn't want to bother you." He goes, "I appreciate that so much, man. Thank you." Mm-hmm. He goes, "I have a lot of lines on this show."
I guess you just have to read the room pretty much, right, when you're on set.
What was that?
I guess you kind of have to read the room when you're on set.
For sure.
What to say, when to say, when to back off. Yeah,
definitely. It was funny because they had so many different directors on that show. Mm-hmm. And on one of the days, Penguin and Butch walked away to do something, whatever, and the director was yelling at them like he was one of us. He's like, "Get back to the set! It's hot, guys! Get back to the set!" I'm like, "Wow, okay."
Wow. Yes, I guess the director is the boss, huh? There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Even with the big shots. Although I suppose Scorsese gives De Niro and Pacino a little leverage, I would imagine. But
yeah, probably.
So listen, obviously Gotham's not the only TV thing you've worked on. How about Quantico?
Oh, Quantico. That was something. Let me start from the very beginning of Quantico. I was non-union, and I get to the set, and I'm literally the first one there. I turn on the lights. I open the door. I'm the first one there. And And, so we're in holding and everybody shows up and they have wardrobe. They put me in this hideous sweater. It was hideous. Absolutely, extremely ugly. It looked like a bunch of Twizzlers wrapped together all over the thing. And then, so that was the first time I was never used. I think I might have been brought to set and then brought back. And then it was just crazy. So we go to check out. And you have to bring the voucher up to the person behind the table. They sign you out. And I'm like, listen, I know this isn't your fault, but I wasn't used. I was like, this doesn't sit well with me,
Yeah.
And so, I made friends with people in the waiting room. That's what I like to do. You never know who can help you. And, I'll get to that in a second. But I became friends with somebody there who was in the union, and she felt bad for me because she just started, and I've been doing it for years. It took me, I'll get to that in a second. So the next thing I know, I'm a recurring featured background person on the show, and they used me for about 5 months.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it was great because it was like my life during that time.
And it's because you opened your mouth. You know what I mean?
I like to think so because I did see the same guy again. He never admitted to it, but it didn't matter. I got in, and I like to think it was because I said something.
Yeah. I just want to inject something here. I forget who it was, Dave. I forget if I read it or saw it on TV, but an actor said, if you're thinking of saying something to somebody, if it's appropriate, don't hold back. Just say it, because you don't know whatever little thing might lead to something else. Have you found that? Yeah. And so, I think that goes in life. If you hold back and think, should I say something? Well, if it's appropriate, don't even think twice, because you never know what it could lead to. Right. Or people could continue to walk all over you. Yes. And there's that aspect of it also. Yeah, very good point. Absolutely. Yep. So Quantico, so the person I became friends with, her name is Janet Cho, and she also was featured background with me the whole time, and so was this one other guy who I worked with doing something else. That's another story. But so I became cool with the big names on the show. Not all of them, but most of them. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to try to bash people, but I got to see how the other side of Hollywood could be. And, but it was just funny because it was just like a daily thing to me. I became numb to the fact that this is ABC or CBS or NBC or, the big times or whatever. Right. And, there was media coming in to interview people, and it didn't even, it's just like, okay, it's my daily life, Wow. Yeah. But so then it became a point to where I had to either join the union or I got kicked off the show. I would get kicked off. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll join the union. Yeah, gee, let's see. Yeah, but the part that stunk about it was I had to join the union right before the wages were going up, like literally like a couple days before it was going up. Uh-huh. I was like, come on. Oh, God. Because payments are due in May and in November, and it was like November. So I was like, great, I got to pay the dues on top of paying, to get in. Yeah. Oh. Well, it rains, it pours. So I did that, and then I actually I got an audition from my management who I didn't have at the time. I actually got that from another background person on another show, and thank God for him, because he was like, oh, I got an audition for Gotham. He's like, but it's only one line. I'm like, whoa, one line? I'll take it. Where's your management, man? Let's go. And so he's like, Dreammaker talent. He goes, you should definitely reach out to them. And, so I did. And I sent them audition tapes. I did Hannibal. Wow. And I did, the whole Clarice thing. When he's just doing that whole creepy speech to her. And I did Tom Hanks from Saving Private Ryan.
You know what you look like to me with your good bag and your cheap shoes. You look like a rube. A well-scrubbed, hustling rube with a little taste. good nutrition has given your bones length. But you're not more than one generation away from poor white trash. Is that right, Agent Starling? And this accent that you're trying to shed, purely West Virginia. What does your father do, dear? Is he a coal miner? Does he stink of the lamp? And oh, how quickly those boys found you. All those tedious and sticky fumblings in the backseat of cars, while all you could do was dream of getting out, getting anywhere, getting all the way to the FBI. Mike, what's the pull on me up to? 300? Is that it? 300. I'm a school teacher. I teach English composition in this little town called Adelaide, Pennsylvania. For the past 11 years, I was at Thomas Alva Edison High School. In the springtime, I was a baseball coach. Back home, when I tell people what I do for a living, they think, well, now that figures. But over here, I'm a big mystery. I guess I've changed some. Sometimes I wonder if I've changed so much, my wife will even recognize me whenever it is I get back to her. And how will I ever be able to tell her about days like today? Ah, Ryan. I know nothing about Ryan. I don't care. The man means nothing to me. He's just a name. But if going to Ramel and finding him so he can come home, if that earns me the right to get back to my wife, then that's my mission.
So I got in. They accepted me, and it took me 8 years to get in the union. It took me 9 to get representation, but I kept going. So
I mean, this is kind of a rhetorical question, but how do you not give up?
Because if it's in you, it's in you.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I really can't give up because it's just bugging me.
Yeah.
I got to keep going.
Yeah.
And plus, I'm not trying to sound conceited or anything, but I knew I was good at it. I know when I'm not good at stuff, but I know when I'm good at stuff.
Yeah.
So going back to Quantico, my management was they were and they still are. They're great. They're always on top of everything. They said, we have an audition for you. They send me the slide. They send me everything I need right away. So they said to me, we have an audition for you for Quantico. And I'm like, okay, cool. They're like, it's tomorrow. I'm like, okay, cool. I got the breakdown email. So I'm like, okay, where's the script? Okay, maybe I'll wait till later. And then, I never heard from them. So the day of my audition, I contacted, we're sorry, we thought you sent it to you. They sent it to me, and I realized that I'm going to be auditioning as an Irish guy. So I'm like, and I'm about to leave to go to the audition. So I'm like, on the way, I'm trying to get an Irish accent.
Oh my
and I'm
gosh!
Like, and then I forgot to do what I always do, which is shave. I forgot to put my Irish-looking clothes on. So I'm like grungy, and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get this because I've already been on the show for 5 months. There's no way they're going to give me a different role. This is not happening. But I always fulfill my audition obligations because I don't want to not have another one for my management. Yeah. So I went, and I'm sitting, and then I may or may not have an Irish accent. I don't even know. I'm calling my friends, the Fisher Campbell family, who I'll mention again later, and they're Irish and they're trying to help me, and I'm like, does that sound good? Oh God!
The life of an actor.
yeah. So I'm in the breaking room, sitting between people who are dressed pretty much the way I want to dress. I don't know. They might have been wearing my shirt from home, which is why I couldn't find it. I don't know. And then the guy in front of me, he's in the room. He's doing the line over and over and over and over. So So I go in there, I do it once. They're like, okay, thanks. Well, first they were like, do you have an Irish accent? I'm like, well, I've been working on it. They're like, yeah, don't worry about it. I'm like, okay. So I do my line once. They're like, thank you. Okay. So I leave, grab my stuff, and I'm walking by the room, and I hear the next guy's doing the line several times. Mm-hmm. And yet I wound up getting the role.
Wow, one shot you got it.
And I found out when I was at the New York Film Academy, and so I was in class, and my management was calling me, and I'm like, oh, forget class, I'm going down the hallway. And one of my good buddies, his name is Kyle, was one of my classmates. He was in the hallway when I found out. Like, I dropped down on my knees. I'm like, I'm going back to Quantico. I told my wife, and I'm like, I'm going back to Quantico. She was like, no way. I'm like, yeah. It was amazing.
Hey, Dave, what's your wife's name?
Her name is Megan.
Megan. Okay.
Yes.
Because you mentioned it a couple of times. Good job, Megan.
Yeah. So
man.
So then they scheduled a table read with the cast, and I'm so like the table read was during one of my classes that I had with the president of the program, the 1 year for acting for film program. I don't want to say his name, but so I go up to him ahead of time, and this is why I don't want to say his name, but
right.
I said to him, I mentioned that I got the role, and I said, but the table read is during your class tomorrow. And he goes, I can't tell you what to do, but I know what I would do. And I said, okay, thank you. Mm-hmm. So I go to the studio, like he told me to do, but not to do,
right,
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I get there early, so I said, you know what? And let me go across the street, sit on the bench, and have my lunch. As I'm doing that, one of the co-producers of my favorite television show walks out, and I'm like, I'm doing it. Like I'm talking to Salman. I'm like, Salman, I gotta go. I'll tell you later. Bye. It was Seinfeld's Larry David.
Are you kidding me? Holy smokes!
Like, yeah, I'm like, I'm usually celebrity great, whatever, but I'm like, this guy. I'm like, hey, I gotta get a picture with this guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he's walking fast. Like, I don't think he sees me, but I think he just walks fast in general. Mm-hmm. And so he goes to the train to, I guess I don't remember what he did, but he had to stop for a second. I was like, I have my phone ready for a picture. And I asked him for a picture. He was very nice. But he goes, no, okay, because he saw I was ready.
Right.
And then he just took a picture real fast, and And then later on, I'm in the main lobby of the studio talking to a guy at the front desk, and Larry David walks behind him and goes, yeah, that's Larry David. He's working here today. I'm like, then when I was leaving, he walks out, down the street, and then some girl passes by him, and she says to me, he goes, is that? I'm like, yep, that's him.
Dave, that is a Seinfeld episode, what you just told us.
Yeah.
Wow,
I couldn't believe
cool.
it.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So I have so many on this list. How about Army of the Dead?
Army of the Dead. That was really cool. I played a zombie. Mm-hmm. So
oh wow!
I always want to do that, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Some of these things I do just for fun, just to be around certain people or just whatever. Mm-hmm. And I spent hours in a makeup chair for days on end. Talked to some of the most fascinating people. One of the makeup guys did work for the Addams Family, and they're just telling me all these stories and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, and you guys are doing my makeup now. This is awesome,
right? Man.
And so I had to audition for they had different levels of zombies. Excuse me. So they auditioned people. They had to do all this all these athletic tasks and stuff like that. And at one point, they brought people. So we're running, we're doing all this stuff. They're like, okay, so now we're going to go in the hallway, and Zack Snyder is there, and they're all taking notes, I guess, and we're all running down this hallway in I forget where it was, but it was a huge hall. We're just running back and forth, and they're like, yeah, we still can't decide, so we got to go back to another room, running around back and forward, arms are out, hands are just
right.
like, okay, yeah, you're alpha, you're this, you're that, and Anyway, Dave Bautista was very nice. Everybody was really nice. It was super cool.
You know, that's really nice to hear that. Like Dave Bautista's, I mean, that's a named guy. That they're, you know, many of them are nice, huh?
Yeah. I find, especially the horror people are nice. They're like the nicest people in the world. Well, I met the biggest names in horror, and it was like, wow, you know?
Yeah, you know, you mentioned before, what's that guy's name? Solomon Chertok? Okay, well, anyway, no, how you and he go to the horror conventions. I go to the chiller conventions as well. And don't you find that so many of the actors and actresses in the field of horror are really, really cool people?
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
Yeah, Tyler Mane, who played Michael Myers in the Rob Zombie Halloween movies, he was so nice. I mean, you know, I would have left like my kids with him.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
Like,
yeah.
We're standing there talking, and there's a camera person waiting to take a picture, and we're just talking and talking. They're like, okay, you know.
They're actors.
Tony Todd, Robert Englund did a video for my friend who couldn't make it to see him, and he went all Freddy mode. And
how cool
just
is that?
Tony Todd, I can go on and on about him, and just a lot of them. And met the voice of Scream, Roger L. Jackson.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, just
wow.
You name it, original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Everybody, pretty much. The main actor of my favorite horror movie, Josh Stewart. The movie's The Collector. I absolutely love that movie.
Really? And that's your favorite horror, huh? And
that's my favorite horror, yep.
You're a horror aficionado. Wow, okay.
Yeah.
My favorite, not to get on your territory, my favorite is still Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes.
The 74.
Yes, that's one of my other favorites.
Yeah.
I like the Jessica Biel one.
Yeah.
What about you?
I like the 74 one. Jessica Biel one was great, but, you know, I met, like, Gunnar Hansen and a few of the others from there. So, but I you know what? I'm going back and forth. Either TCM or The Exorcist. I can't decide which is my favorite.
Oh, Linda Blair. Oh, my goodness. Did Solomon tell you about when I met Linda Blair?
No.
Sort of?
No, tell us.
Oh, dear God. So I'm dressed as my character that we'll mention later.
Yep.
And Bronson Pinchot is sitting at a table next to her table. And I'm just whatever. Solomon wants to meet him. I'm just mind my own business kind of thing. I look over at her, I look away, just whatever. And then Bronson Pinchot calls me over. He takes pictures with me and of me. He goes, this is what the convention's all about. And Solomon says to me, Linda Blair, she's afraid of you. I'm like, it's like she left when you got closer. I'm like, her head turns all the way around and she's afraid of me. I'm
exactly.
Just, hanging out.
She spits pea soup and she's afraid of you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't believe him at all. Because it could have just been a coincidence,
Yeah, had to get up or something.
At the end of the convention, Solomon, I guess, wanted to use the bathroom or something, and people were clearing the tables out. So she's standing there talking to a couple of people, like whatever. She signed. There was just me and like one other guy. I wanted her autograph, and I was just minding my own business. She signs for him and runs away from me. She bolted. I was like, what? Okay. He's just telling the truth.
You scared Linda Blair. Now, that name of the character is Trevor. We'll talk about later, but Trevor scared Linda Blair. How about that?
I'm not even bragging. I'm just telling her I wasn't even trying. I wasn't even thinking. I was just like, okay. You're done with the bathroom yet?
I still think it should be on your resume, Dave. So, now listen, there's a couple others here. Deadly Devotion.
Yes.
Tell us.
That was super cool. So that's a murder reenactment dramatization on the ID channel. And at the time, I had no representation. And like you said before, I'm big into horror. Mm-hmm. And I always wanted to play a killer on TV.
Yeah. I think most people would like to. Really.
Yeah, because that's not something I would do in real life. So to me, that's what makes acting amazing. Mm-hmm. You can get away with stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% see what you're saying.
Yeah, and to do the opposite of what you do in real life, no matter what it is, it can be fun. Mm-hmm. You're out of your element, whatever. So I get a call saying that they want me to be their killer, and this is when I'm at work at my rinky-dink job at a liquor store, which was in a cage inside of BJ's Wholesale. They were like rats in a cage, especially when there's nothing to do.
Now there's a life.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so they said they wanted me to be the killer. So I I had to talk to my boss, and I was just like, they want me for this day. And he goes, "Oh, we'll see." I'm like, "What do you mean we'll see?" I'm like, "What am I doing? This is my dream."
Right.
And I was able to switch with somebody, so I got off. But from that point forward, I'm like, I'm not working during the day anymore. I want to work overnights. I don't want to have permission because that's when all the auditions take place. I just want to go to my auditions. If I get the role, I take off from work.
Right.
So
the rats in the cage will have to bother somebody else, right?
There you go. So I get the role, and the first thing they had me do is kill somebody, and it was a perfect job. There was just one take. They were so thrilled. So the guy I was killing, like we all did a great job. I'm not saying just me. It was just everything was perfect. And, I shoot the guy, and he falls down. Everything's perfect. My gun fired because they rigged it. So then I'm in the break room, and the guy shows up, and I'm eating. I'm just like, I see the back of his head. There's red in his hair. I'm like, okay, let me be nice and go up to him. I'm like, dude, you have red stuff in your hair. I'm like, oh, that's right. That's because I shot you in the back of the head. Because at the time they didn't have the blood yet. Right. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to continue to eat my food and walk this way, and then we filmed the rest of the scenes, which was really funny. So it was called, the episode was called Murderous Mormons. So we're all family, and it's a family that just implodes. So, I mean, we're doing all these things together. He's sitting at the table eating pizza. We're all in the kitchen. I'm walking behind him, which is kind of creepy if you think about it.
Exactly.
And and then one of the actresses. Well, so we're doing like I don't want to say Bible study, but whatever they study, whatever books they use. They give us all prop books and stuff like that. Except for one of the actresses had the book about our lives. So during the break, she was telling us about our lives.
Wow.
I never found out what happened to my character. Everything else was fascinating.
Yeah, holy smokes.
Yeah, so that was it. So there comes time to watch it with my parents. And, my dad is religious type. They don't really like the violence or anything, right? So he tells his friends to watch me on the other TV shows that I was just background for. And I said, no, Dad, I have a role on this, but he didn't tell anybody for whatever reason, right? So the four of us are downstairs, me, my parents, and my wife. We're watching the show, and the scene pops up to where I killed a person. And I told my parents ahead of time. I told them, so my dad's sitting there. He goes, "You killed that person?" I'm like, "Yeah." He just gets up and goes upstairs. Oh. As if I betrayed him in real life.
Right, as he's going upstairs. Not really, Dad. I was acting.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
I did a good job.
Yeah. I guess you got the reaction from your dad. You did a great job.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. But I was like, why didn't you tell anybody? Maybe that's why.
Yeah. Now, I understand that your work on Blue Bloods, that holds a special place in your career.
Yes.
Please, can you tell us, what that's about, Blue Blood? I love the show, by the way. I love Blue Bloods.
Yeah, my parents too. Yeah, it's a major hit. So I did 2 days on that. One day was just a regular whatever. I got to meet Donnie Wahlberg. He came up to me, he started talking to me. He was extremely nice.
Oh, cool. That's great to hear.
And I was like, I want to, what about Tom Selleck? So I got brought in for another day, and that was with Tom Selleck. So we were all in the room, and the scene was that he calls a bunch of recruits in from, the day off or whatever, because we're all in normal clothes, and he wants to, rip us a new one. So we're filled up, the room is filled up with all background people, including me, and, so I'm tall, so I'm blocking the camera. So they're like, they sent me to the holding room. I'm like, oh, great.
Oh, man, yeah, right.
I'm not going to be used. So then they while I'm in there, they said, here, we need you to sign this, because we're bumping everybody up to speaking roles. Wow. So, which they didn't have to do, because when everybody all the backgrounds speak at the same time, it's considered non-speaking.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I guess because you're drowned out or whatever. So, so I signed the contract. And it was for hundreds of dollars. It was a lot of money, especially because I'm still getting residuals from it.
Wow.
So, I go and I do the scene. It was like 6 hours, and I got a lot of money from it. And the reason why it holds a close, the reason why it's so special to me is because it was one of the anniversaries of the death of my grandmother on my mom's side. And she was a very big supporter of me.
Oh, see that? She was watching over you.
And there's also other strange occurrences. I don't know if you want to speak about them now or later.
No, let's do it now if you're good with it.
Sure. So the first ever project I did was the movie Just Right, which with Common and Queen Latifah. Mm-hmm. And I was so excited. That was background. I was a sports fan. It's a basketball movie, so it takes place, at the Izod Center. So we're sitting all around. They keep moving us. They didn't have enough people to fill the stadium. They move us all around. So there's mega movie stars like Paula Patton, Felicia Rashad from the Cosby Show,
Sure,
Common, Queen Latifah, and and this NBA All-Star, I go home and I'm telling anybody that'll listen to me, and I call my grandma. I'm like so excited. And she goes, I'm going to go see it in the theaters when it comes out. We'll go together. We'll go see it. And this was when she was 89 years old. Oh. And she, this is very sensitive, but she wanted to live until at least 90. She wanted to make it to 90. Mm-hmm. And around that time we found out she had cancer. Mm. So they said that she had a bunch of months to live. And it turned out to be like a month. So,
goodness.
So when the movie was due to be released, whatever day it was, in January, I don't even know. But there was a major problem. So the movie got delayed, and it got released on her 90th birthday.
Holy smokes.
So I went to the theater by myself, never did that before, had her prayer card with me, and watched the movie. Oh. And let me tell you, I'm on the screen 7 times, 7, 8, 9, whatever. And one of the shots is a close-up of me and the guy next to me, just the two of us. And it's not even fast. It's just a few seconds on the screen. You can't miss me. Mm-hmm. Extremely as featured as you can get without my head coming through the screen.
Right.
And and also, the DVD came out on my uncle's birthday, who was a big supporter of me, who has since passed, unfortunately. So I thought that was crazy.
Wow.
And there's two more strange occurrences that I'll get to, and then get back to Just Right. Mm-hmm. So my wife and I got a second dog. I didn't want any dogs. We have 2, so obviously she won that. So she's like, you can name this one. So I named the dog Casey after Casey Becker from Drew Barrymore's character in Scream, the iconic opening scene.
Oh, what? Yes. Mm-hmm.
So and then
good job, by the way. Good name.
To do. I'm sorry, what?
I said good job with the name.
Oh, thank you. Because I was like, it's just whatever. I just like it. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, wait a minute, Drew Barrymore. I was like, when I was a child, before I even knew what acting was, my grandma on my mom's side used to say that I was acting like John Barrymore.
Oh my goodness. Everything is so tied together here.
Yeah, so now I'm like, now I can't give up because my dog is always with me.
Right.
and this other one was strange too. So just my birthday just passed a few days ago.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And so I'm putting together the movie that we're going to talk about later. Mm-hmm. And I had a pretty decent sized blow because I lost a location. And then when that happens to a production manager, you feel like everything's collapsing. So I was feeling upset. And then so my god kids and their family come over for my birthday, right? So then we're walking out the main building, the main door of the apartment building. And I was like, and I hear music playing. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Somebody was blasting the song I Got the Keys, which is DJ Khaled featuring JayZ and Future. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And then they're like, what? I'm like, I'm in that music video.
Oh, my God. gosh.
Yeah, and that was years.
This is freaky, Dave.
Yeah, I'm like, this is my birthday. I'm feeling upset. What are the odds somebody's going to play this song? There's only one song playing.
Holy smokes.
And it's playing next to the stairs where I'm walking. And in the music video, before, of course, I got cut out of most of my stuff. But one of the things I did was I walked JayZ out of the building. And that was funny. So before I get back to Just Right, so they brought me in as a principal person, which means you have the speaking roles, or in the music video, you're a feature, you're something. They handpicked you to be there. So I'm driving. This is Queens at the Queens Correctional Facility, which for some reason I was there multiple times. I don't know if that's a sign.
Right.
So I wound up taking a side road because in New York, the one-way system, I did, all these signs. I'm like, oh God. So I'm freaking out. I take a side road and my car gets tarred.
Oh God.
Yeah, but so I'm like, this day is just terrible, So I get there, and JayZ's really nice to me, really great time, and so I'm in the wardrobe room, and I don't know if you know who the rapper T.I. is. He's also an actor, and so what's that?
Was he on Law and Order? I don't know, but I definitely know who he is. But yes, possibly
he's definitely in American Gangster. He plays Denzel Washington's family member.
Okay,
maybe his nephew or something. Anyway, so then later on in the video, I'm walking JayZ out of the building, and nobody tells me that all these other huge names in hip hop are there. They're all in the parking lot, leaning up against like a nice Rolls Royce, and they're all waiting for him to come out. I'm like, hello.
Wow.
Hi, everybody from my childhood.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
Yeah. So that was cool.
That's very cool, man.
Yeah, and then so getting back to Just Right. So you have all these different directors, and they have a background director, and I'm just like, and they're giving out foam fingers, and they're like, oh, okay, this row do this row do that. This row do the same thing that the first row did, and this row do the same thing the second row. I'm like, what is this, like a stoic video game or something? This is stupid. This isn't real life.
Yeah.
So I said to the guy next to me, I was like, let's just do whatever the heck we want to do. We know what the story is. Let's react to what story's going to unfold. So we do that, and that's what got us on the big screen.
Wow.
Because I'm like being real. I'm tapping on the shoulder, pointing to this. We're like, whoa, we're humans,
Yeah, and
go ahead.
And I was going to say, and there again, like you mentioned before, saying things, speaking up.
Right. Or just doing the opposite without being a jerk about it.
Yeah.
And seeing if they'll correct you, It's like the saying goes, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission.
Yeah.
Very true. And so I was just I'm talking to this guy next to me for 3 days, and we're just goofing off, being professional, having his name is Mike Gilletto. He's actually a famous chef. And he's been on TV shows before, like Chopped and the Tyra Banks Show, and a whole bunch of stuff. Restaurant restoration, and so so we kept in touch. And then he contacts me because Country Music Television contacted him to be on their show. His reality show called My Big Redneck Vacation, starring Tom Arnold. And
hey, wow.
Sort of starring Tom Arnold. He wound up being a pop-up graphic, but he's like, you. He goes, you're a part of my team. He goes, you're a chef, you're whatever, and because everybody else was real. Everybody else was really a waiter or chef. I was like, it's just me. That was a crazy time. I got pictures of that, and it was just, and you also forget that you're on reality television.
Yeah,
I got to see how that worked. They had 4 ninja camera crews, so it just snuck up on you, and they're just try to catch the real moments.
So reality TV is reality TV. I mean, you hear things, some of it's scripted and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe there's a little of everything in there in reality TV.
Yeah, well, I think they have guidelines or something. Like they have an idea for some of the shows.
Yeah.
What's going to happen.
Like an outline or whatever.
I also did Impractical Jokers.
Love that show. What was?
Yeah, I was brought in for that, and this particular scene had to be set up ahead of time because I was reacting to them being naked, and they kind of shouldn't be naked in public,
So
yeah.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, that was the episode where one of the Jokers loses, which obviously happens in every episode,
right.
but the guys who didn't lose were naked in this guy's house. They're laying on his bed, laying on his couch, rubbing themselves with his pillows and doing naked jumping jacks in the window, which is what I was watching. Yeah, so...
Lovely.
Yeah, that was something. I got a lot of pictures sent to me of that.
You know what, Dave? I want to go back. I was thinking of this when you were talking about Blue Bloods, and the background players were talking, all at once.
Yes.
When we see that on TV, what are you saying? Are you just going blah, 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 like moving your mouth? Are you guys actually saying things to each other?
Yeah. Yep.
You're just making noises and things?
Yeah, but I mean, for that particular time, we were saying yes, sir, no, sir, yes, sir.
Gotcha.
They needed that. But it's really what it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, let's go back to how you alluded to some of these things, since we've been talking, but how did you start out in the acting field? And are there any acting teachers that stand out in your mind? And
boy,
how's that for a loaded question?
It was, I was sleeping at my parents' house. I woke up, opened the door, walked into the room, and there was my brother who lived in New York at the time with a film crew. Filming Clive Unger's Madam X. They had a production meeting. Solomon was there. That's how I met Solomon.
Solomon Shurtop. Yeah,
I opened the bedroom door, walked out. That's how I met Solomon. It might sound creepy, but
And you guys have been buddies ever since.
Yes. We became extremely close. He was actually a part of my wedding.
Mm-hmm. Madam X is great, by the way.
I'm sorry, what?
Madam X is great, by the way. I saw that.
Yeah. Oh, it really is. And one thing that is, I would say, negative about having my brother do great work is I don't know how much he actually believes me. I'm like, listen, I watch films. I can tell you why yours is great. The angles. Brian DeCicco. You're good.
Yeah, you're just saying that. I can hear him.
Yeah, and he actually, and that was a time when I was, had the acting bug, and we're sitting at the dinner table, and I'm just like, thinking, are you going to put me in this movie? Can I do something?
Yeah, right.
So he threw me a line.
I threw you a bone.
Yeah. So I guess, that's the first project I ever spoke in.
Don't touch the painting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
have you worked with your brother besides that?
No, but
let's get on the stick here, bro.
But
come on,
we will be, because I'm announcing now that he is co-directing my upcoming movie.
Oh wow! You know what?
Yeah.
Let's keep the audience at waiting
and
for that.
Before I forget, he created the poster too.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that later, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good.
Now you mentioned my teachers, so
yes,
Solomon referred me to a lovely lady named Caroline Thomas, Total Theater Lab, New York.
Okay.
So I'm like, I'm looking her up, and I'm just like, she taught James Gandolfini. She taught David Duchovny.
You're in.
Zoe Zaldana.
Wow.
She taught Laura Prepon.
Holy smokes.
Oh, my goodness.
Talk about a resume, yeah.
What's really funny is she's not the only person who I know who taught Laura Prepon. You will never believe who taught Laura Prepon in high school. My mother.
Me. Who?
My mother.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dave, this is some, like, my gosh, these webs, these things that are interweaving in your life.
Oh, yeah. Like, how could I not pursue this?
Now, what did your mom do in high school?
She was a home economics and interior design teacher.
Okay.
Yeah. Because she was always into the arts.
Right.
It's just, when she was growing up, you were either a nurse or a teacher. So she found a way to incorporate what she wanted to do and, be a teacher, which I'm sure she wanted to do too.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I'm a retired teacher, Dave, and my wife is a nurse. How about that? Isn't that something?
Wow, it's all part of the web.
That's it, baby.
And since then, since she retired, she has gone on to help with the stage productions, the plays at the Watchung Regional High School in New Jersey, and their plays are like Broadway. So she incredible, incredible sense. But anyway, going back to my teachers, I'll go back to my family later. But so Caroline Thomas. So she gives me a book. It was a play. I can't remember which one it was. But, so she's like, study this, like read this whole thing. And then so I go back to her and she was not happy with me. Oh boy. She laid into me and I'm happy she did. She did it in a professional way, but she did not hold back, And I'm like, wow, this is another part of acting I didn't even know I had anything to do with it. She's like, has anybody ever told you that you might have like ADD or something? Because I think you do. And she's just like, so she took she's brilliant. She took an angle of how to help somebody with ADD. She's like, now, when you come back, she's like, you're going to do this character. This character is you. Read up on this. Like, I don't remember all the stuff because I went to her a lot. And she was so amazing. And then she invited me to one of her classes. So I got to interact with other people. She went to one of my showcases. She went to like a film screening for Solomon stuff, and my brother's Clive Unger, and she's just outstanding. Can't speak highly enough about her. She helped Laura Prepon get on that '70s show.
Do you have ADD? Do you have ADD?
I'm sorry, Dave. What?
No, I was gonna. Do you have ADD?
I think I do.
I was going to say she may have found something.
Around as I'm talking to you, and I'm like,
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
And it's funny because I can't even concentrate on sleeping. I had to have something else going on for me to be able to fall asleep.
Wow.
But anyway, you can see Caroline Thomas on E! True Hollywood's behind the scenes for that '70s show. They interviewed her about Laura Prepon.
So, okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then also, New York Film Academy.
Yes.
I'm like, first day, let me wear my Pennywise shirt. So everybody knows I'm a freak. I'm a freak among freaks.
In your element.
I can't imagine many people like horror, just in general. So I go to my first class, and my teacher is Blanche Baker.
Okay.
She is from 16 Candles. She plays Jeannie, the drunk sister.
I knew the name. Yes, I knew the name.
She's just in everything. She won an Emmy for the Holocaust movie. I'm sorry, TV miniseries with Meryl Streep and James Woods from many, many years ago. So well decorated, right? And I was just like, wait a minute. I'm sitting in class. I'm like, she's in this horror movie that was so intense, I almost turned it off.
Wow.
She's a sweet lady, like maybe I'd say average height, maybe a little above, and she's just so nice. A huge personality on the screen, like a huge presence. But in the classroom, just a teacher, nice, down to earth. And I'm sitting there wearing my Pennywise shirt, and she said that she was in The Girl Next Door. I'm like, holy, whoa. And then I was like, wow, I saw that movie. It was intense. And she leans into me. She goes, how about the part with the torch? And at that point, I was like, I think Pennywise left my shirt at that point.
Right.
You win.
Isn't that something, man? Wow.
Yeah, and she was extremely nice, extremely hands-on with everybody. Cared about everybody. All the teachers at that school cared about everybody, and she actually gave me a huge honor, and that was she allowed me to speak in front of the class about my experiences.
Wow, that is an honor.
And because she was saying that, maybe doing background work isn't the best thing, so I came up with a list of why it is great and why it's not. Mm-hmm. So I did a whole speech on that. And then she put me in one of her movies that she was doing too.
Wow.
She handpicked some students, and I was lucky enough to be one of them.
Do you remember what the movie was?
Speaking, and there was a really good scene.
Which movie was it? Do you remember?
Yes, it's a short film. It's called Make America Safe Again. It's about gun laws and how it's going to be in the future if we don't tighten up the laws.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Sounds like an important film.
And that went all around, the country and out of the country, and like Italy and Greece and all that. And it was nominated for 10 awards and won 3 of them. And I think it's still going on, and some of them are maybe to be determined.
Wow.
But I was so honored, man.
What a feather in your cap, really.
Yeah. And then, but it was funny because between like the takes, I got an audition, and it was the first time I ever got an audition for a character with a name, for like a Hollywood thing. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm auditioning to be Tim. And then I went back inside and I was doing Blanche's movie, and I'm like, oh God, I got lines in Blanche's movie. I'm like this. I was like, God.
So listen, Dave, if you ever do get another dog, maybe Tim should be the name. That was your first name as an actor, right?
Yeah. Well, it's actually funny that you say that, and it's a segue into something I was just thinking. Mm-hmm. So there's this wonderful group called Veterans in Film and Entertainment. I think they changed it to what is it? It's Veterans in Media and Entertainment now, and it's run by an actor and a stunt guy who has really great credits. Is Ed Heavey. Gotham and all this other great stuff, and it's for the military veterans to help them get into the industry. So they have meetings, they have Q&As, and fantastic stuff. They actually got me a massive audition, and it was for the TV show New Amsterdam.
Oh, sure, yes.
And my audition was many scenes, and my character was his name Benson. Recurring and just a huge role. And my wife was like, okay, we'll name our next dog Benson.
Okay.
That's a great name for a dog, but, only if I get the role, please.
Yeah. Oh, we'll have to get rid of the dog then.
Yeah. So I didn't get the role, but, man, I did a fantastic job. And that's my advice. One of the things I want to tell actors, I have a lot of advice from myself and from people in the industry. It's just, that's the most important thing, is to make yourself proud when you're auditioning. Mm-hmm. Because you know if you did good or if you did bad. Who cares what everybody else thinks? You can't change what they think. Yeah. You could walk in the room and it happens, and right away, as soon as they see you don't have the role because you're too short, you're too this, you're too that. It's out of your control.
And I would imagine, you would know better than I, Dave, but I would imagine, if you don't get a role, there are still people in that room who remember you for another role. Say, hey, you know what? We auditioned this guy, and so that's I guess always,
That's the goal too.
Yeah,
that's the goal. You're always auditioning for something else, even when you're auditioning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's really cool because I was right about to say that was the biggest audition of my life. But I can't say that because one of my teachers named Victor Verhage, who did 20 episodes of Boardwalk Empire, he's worked with Tom Hanks and Hugh Jackman. He's awesome. There's a saying that goes, he gets everything.
Yeah.
So he's super cool. And I posted on Facebook, I said, I have the biggest audition of my life coming up. And I can't say, I didn't say what it was because you can't. He messages me and probably goes, this is not the biggest audition of your life. You always have other auditions. Don't do that to yourself. That's great advice, too, because then that takes the elephant off your back.
Sure, yep. That's excellent advice.
And then I also had one of my teachers, Dave Shalansky, who has appearances in Sex and the City, Grey's Anatomy, Big Dogs, I met another actor from Big Dogs who gave me great advice. Mm-hmm. That's another web part, I guess. And Southland, one of my all-time favorite television shows. So, and it was funny because my wife, Megan, is a huge fan of Grey's Anatomy. And she's like, oh my God, seriously, Grey's Anatomy?
Tell me about it. My wife, too.
What's that?
My wife, too.
Oh. When that show's on, she's glued to it, and I can't talk to her. I either have to be silent or literally, if I'm talking, she doesn't hear me. So
yeah, right.
And so he let her be in the class, and she was like, it's just funny. His personality is all over. It's serious. He's dry sense of humor. He's sarcastic. So he was messing with her, and he was letting her ask questions and stuff, and watch the class. And so did Blanche and some others, and everybody. It was just funny because those three people taught at the same school. All different personalities, which is why it's such an amazing thing to go to acting school with all these teachers.
Yeah,
because you get to see the different personalities. Come on, whatever, because and then it helps you. It just helps you realize that we're all in this together. It's okay to have a different personality.
Yeah, the diversity is good.
Yeah, and those three. And as also Caroline, I can contact them and they'll respond to me. They'll read stuff for me. They're so caring. Mm-hmm. And it's incredible.
Yeah. You mentioned your wife, Megan. I'm assuming she's got to be a great supporter of yours.
Well, that's interesting because she is, without a doubt. Without her, I wouldn't be able to do this. Mm-hmm. Our first date, all the wacky stuff that happened, it was one of those days that's so spectacular that you just keep going on and on and on. Mm. And I kept going on and on verbally. And I actually accidentally stumbled across the character that we'll talk about later.
Oh boy.
I'm too comfortable.
Oh,
she was okay with it. Uh-huh. Maybe not 100. Definitely not 100%. Definitely not 100%.
She was accepting of it.
Led on to it though, So she's like, okay, And then shortly after we became official, she read my part of my feature-length horror script that we'll get into later, mm-hmm. And I was like, she was reading the opening scene. I'm like, I gotta go, like I really do. She goes, okay, I'll walk you to your car. Then she holds on to me for dear life. She goes, please tell me that you are the person I think you are, not the person that I think you could be. I was like, no.
And you said, you'll have to wait and see, dear. No.
Yeah. Yeah, I leaned in closer and I sniffed her hair as she was saying that.
Well, listen, for her to stick with you after that, Dave, I think you guys are made for each other. Yeah,
and it's funny because she's my audition partner for when I do the video auditions. I don't know how she does it. She has a camera in one hand, the script in the other hand. She's perfect with the framing. She's reading the script, and just the conversations we have are the craziest things ever. So like the other day, I had an audition where my character gets shot in the head, right? Mm-hmm. And she goes, do you want to watch a video on somebody getting shot in the head? I'm like, babe, I've got shot in the head before. I can do this. So it was funny because it was my previous audition I got shot in the head. I had several auditions where I kept getting shot.
Are they trying to tell you something, Dave?
Yeah. I was like,
So Megan is
not a sign that I want.
Yeah. Megan is an unsung hero in your career. Not unsung because you certainly sing her praise, but in your career, good old Megan, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. And she's like, I will not let you fail. We're going to achieve your dreams together. We're a team. This is also a part of her too, because her family is very musical. She's on stage. She kills it at karaoke. Her dad performs, the instruments, the singing, they got it all covered. So she's always been, a part of that world kind of. So actually, I forgot to mention the veterans in media and entertainment.
Yes.
They got me to a red carpet event. I got an invite for Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, which was a military movie starring Tina Fey and Margaret Robbie. And so so my wife and I have been on the red carpet before. Yeah, we've been on the red carpet before, and it was just amazing because they wanted the military people there. So we walked the red carpet, and then we went to the movie theater with Tina Fey. She was extremely nice. They had they had popcorn, they had soda, they had media, and it was just really cool to see the layout of how they do those events. So that helped me too. And plus, we got to get all dressed up, and women like that, and it was good. It was.
But Dave, you get dressed up every part. So it's nothing new for you either. But like a regular person dress up, okay.
Yeah, so, between that and having being on a lot of sets as background and speaking, and also when I did Quantico, it was on location. It was like away from the studio. So they had my my locker room, a dressing room, whichever you want to call it, in on a trailer. So I walk in there, I'm like, it was all for me. They had like a little room here, a little bathroom, like a little room here, and I was like, wow.
See, that's got to be a great feeling. Something like that,
Yeah, it was surreal.
Yeah, I bet.
So I like to think that I've had all aspects of it. Obviously, I want to keep going. I want to keep going higher and better and doing all this other stuff. But, I've seen myself on the big screen. I see myself on TV. So, I'm not going to stop. But if I did, I would be, pretty satisfied.
Dave, obviously you're tremendously busy, but have you ever considered writing a book, like a how-to book for up-and-coming actors, what to expect, what to go through? Maybe that's down the road, maybe. It's down the road, maybe, but,
Yeah,
that's something you can
I'd like
consider.
that idea. My wife said I should actually be able to teach a class.
Sure, yes. You have so much knowledge to give to others, too. But anyway, that's my silly 2 cents, but I think you should consider it, yeah.
I appreciate it.
Now, family and friends, supportive, and I'm assuming a lot of your, or most of your fellow actors, how are they on set? Is it competitive, or do they offer advice, or is it really up to the individual actor? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
do they
it's up to the
you?
individual actor, yeah. Like I said earlier, one of them, led me to Dreammaker Talent. And the management, and I like doing that for people too. But when I do that, I want to. There's one thing that made me mad, and that was I like to help people all I can, But before I let you use my name, I need to know things about you. I need to know that you're good enough to for me to send to my management. I'm not trying to be conceited, but there's a level. To see if you're ready or if I can work with you to make you ready. Sure. I got to know where you're at. And this one girl on Quantico, I was just shooting a breeze with her, and the background girl, when I was principal, and she and I gave her, told her the information, and I said, send me a video of your work. So she does, like days later, and I really didn't like it. I couldn't really tell if she was serious or just messing around. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to respond to her. I'm going to see if she reaches out to me again. And she never did, until after she reached out to my management. And I don't know if she used my name or not, but I made sure that I contacted my management and said I did not give anybody permission to use my name.
Yeah, absolutely.
So from that point forward, anytime I referred people, which I have done, I wrote a letter, sent it as an attachment, and signed it, or whatever I did, just so my management would know that I support this person.
Yeah, sure. That's a very wise thing to do. Yep.
Thank you. Yeah. So, but
I guess fellow actors look at you as competition sometimes too. That's the problem, I guess. Hey, this guy's fighting for my part. Why should I be nice to him or whatever?
Yeah, and I'll be honest. I try not to help people that look like me.
Yeah,
because
that makes sense.
I'm hurting myself.
Yes, absolutely. That's something I wouldn't have thought of. Yeah, of course.
I would do it. If I know you, and there are reasons why I would do it, but I like to not.
Yeah, no, that's completely understandable.
Yeah, but a lot of people root for each other. They really do, but it is also cutthroat because you can only cast one person for each role.
Yep, yeah.
Even A-list celebrities compete against each other and stuff like that. So,
has there ever been a time in your life, Dave? Since you got the writing bug, I think I know the answer to this. When you doubted, gee, is acting for me or not? Because I would say no, you've never had that feeling, but have you ever said, is this for me? Should I continue with this?
So I'm not going to go into detail on this one aspect, but I had a lot of issues, verbal disagreements with people, and just, for whether it's because they didn't understand the career field or didn't understand why I would want to pursue it, or, they were trying to help me in ways that I didn't want to be helped, or, out of love or like whatever. But I always had somebody to turn to somehow. Even when I was like, honest to God, I'm crying and breaking down and just wondering if this is for me, I'm like, I got to call this person. I got to go to this person's house. I got to call Solomon. I got to go to the Fisher Campbell house, and let them calm me down. Let them do what they did. I don't want to get into details. Some people from my military family, Rob Nelson, Vince Cardiel, people of different ages, because I was active duty and I was going home, and I'm like, this is kind of freaky, it's scary. You kind of like let a bird flying out a window. Which way do I go? Just people like Diane Smith, who I worked with in the Iraq cage in the liquor store. Very sweet lady. And as a writer, you got to have a notebook. Got to have a notebook. I came up with a million ideas for my comedy that I mentioned a little bit, and my horror. And I'm like, so I ran receipt paper. I'm just all these notes, all these receipt papers, and and then she's just like, wants to know about what I was doing. So I was like, can I tell you about my horror? She goes, I don't really like horror, but okay. With the comedy, she's like, so she let me talk about all of that, which I needed to release because I was stuck at work. And my friend Heather, who I've known for years, I had nobody to help me film an audition. She came spur of the moment, helped me film it. I got the role, a Nike commercial. My friend Serena, who's a photographer, she's taking the pictures of Trevor, the latest ones, the latest photo shoot.
Great.
And, my cinematographer for my upcoming movie, Mike Gamble, he's also doing the pictures. And it's funny because my cast and crew are people that I've met along the way, either through talking to people who say, I know this person. Like, you never know who knows who. Even if it's just Joe Schmo down the street, you never know who they are, really, who they know.
Yeah.
I met somebody that is a part of my project in the dog park on the complex right here. And it's just, my cast I met throughout the years. And I'm like, my movies were years in the making. I'm finally getting to it, but it was worth it because I handpicked these people because I know they're good. Some of them are better than the celebrities I've worked with.
Yeah.
And I was like, and they need a break. They're nice people. That's the number one thing. If you're a nice person, I'm going to help you. If you're not, get out.
Yeah.
Leave.
Man,
I don't need that.
Nice goes far, doesn't it? Nice goes far, doesn't it, Dave?
Yeah.
Yep.
And one of my all-time favorite sayings is a saying that my dad told me. I don't know where he got it from, but it goes, people may not remember what you said to them, but they'll remember how you made them feel.
No, that's beautiful. Yeah.
And in this industry, you can't do anything yourself unless you're going to do a selfie video or something ridiculous. You need everybody.
Yeah.
You need the crew. You need the cast. You need the and everybody. Craft services. Everybody. Just be nice in general. Why not?
Yeah. Exactly. It seems such a simple thing, but I don't know. Some people have a problem, but it's just so much easier to be nicer.
Yeah, that's true. And
it
also,
goes so far.
So yes, I had a wonderful cast of friends and family support me. Like I said, my brother is doing the poster. He's co-directing. My sister let me film at her house. My brother-in-law let my brother film at his salon, and my parents are helping with the wardrobe, and it's all this stuff. And but when I was active duty, right, I got to my first base, which is in Japan. I was stationed in Japan and also in Arizona. I got to Japan right before Thanksgiving. I didn't really have any friends. I didn't know anybody.
Yeah,
it was like literally right before. So I spent Thanksgiving alone. I had take home meals from the chow hall and watch the movie on my portable DVD player that somebody let me borrow.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, right?
What was that?
Happy Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah. And then so I was like, Christmas time, I'm not doing this. I'm not spending it alone. Forget that. Because at that point, I was with other newcomers to the base. and there was a program or whatever. So I was like, I asked my buddy if he wanted to come with me. He said no for whatever reason. So I was like, you know what, fine. I'm going to go find a group of like-minded people. People were trying to be happy. So I found a church group, and they were doing a breakfast, and then, social. It was just something,
Mm-hmm.
Don't let yourself get depressed. I mean, I know people have issues with it that they can't help, but always try to be around like-minded people or positive people,
Good advice.
I'm sorry, what?
Good advice.
Yeah, and also if people give you advice and you like it or you don't like it, you should really evaluate who's saying it and if they've used it with their life.
Yeah, I'll listen to everything, and then I'll kind of like a filter. I'll take what's what applies to me and whatnot, but don't just turn a person off, just because you think, it's always good just to take advice. You're so right, Dave. Yeah. Yeah,
because even if the people didn't use it, maybe they should have. And they're like, well, you didn't, so I'm gonna go with what you said because you know that it's the better way to go.
Yeah. You mentioned we just talked about the military again. Now there's something about you portraying Darth Vader at a live event. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Share that with us, please.
I don't want to mention the name of the company because they had legal issues and all other stuff. So
tell us what you can.
I auditioned as like the Joker. I auditioned as my character. And then so I said I could do like all this other stuff, whatever. So they called me. They're like, "Can you play Darth Vader?" I'm like, I wasn't expecting you to ask me that, but I've always wanted to do it my whole life, so yes. I was like, what did you not see my audition? So they're like, okay, you're going to go to this spot, you're going to pick up the guy playing Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you're going to do a kid's party. I'm like, okay. So I picked this guy up, right, and the costumes are top-notch or whatever. I'm like, so what are we doing? I have no clue. And he goes, we're going to do some Jedi training, and, with the kid, I'll do Jedi training, and then you come at me, you interrupt, and we fight. Have a lightsaber fight. I'm like, okay, sure. This is right as we're pulling up to the house, and then, I have my head covered because I don't want them seeing Darth Vader. And so we're changing, we're rushing, we're changing, and the mother's like, how soon? And, of course, they have wardrobe problems and all this other stuff. And I go, dude, how are we going to fight? What's the fight going to be? He goes, okay, left, right, up, down, left, right, huh? I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So it wound up being perfect somehow. I don't know. Somehow all these events with this company wound up going smooth. I don't get it.
Hey, Dave, it's a good thing they didn't ask you to be an Irish Darth Vader. Then you may have had a problem.
Yeah. I can't even imagine how that would go. I don't know how you breathe, say, with an Irish accent. I don't know.
I think I have a feeling you'd find a way, though.
So that went well, right? And then I wound up doing Incredible Hulk for this company, a kid's birthday party. And the guy playing Captain America was somebody I wound up acting with on Quantico.
Wow.
And that went well. Mm-hmm. And then we
Chewbacca,
did two other. So we crashed. It wasn't just birthday parties we did. We crashed a work event. Mm-hmm. People were at this fancy place, whatever, like dance floor, whatever. And we just crashed. We just came right through, and we started performing at the Star Wars show.
I think wasn't Chewbacca?
I'm Chewbacca, and I can't see, and my feet are really slippery because the costume was a full body costume, and I'm doing crowd control. And it was horrible.
Oh my!
And then when the performance was over, my cast walked a certain direction, and I couldn't even find them. I couldn't sing. The costume didn't fit, and it was horrific.
All the while you're thinking, I'm an actor.
Yeah. I was like, keep it cool, Chewie. Keep it cool.
Right.
Luckily, I was able to do the Chewie noise. I could do Darth Vader stuff like that. So then there was two other events that really stand out. Again, I played Chewbacca. It was a kid's birthday party, but not just any family. It was Grammy Award winner Lauryn Hill's house.
Holy smokes!
I went to Lauryn Hill's house to perform.
Wow! Can you share any of that with us?
She was So I go into the house and immediately make a right, into the room right there. The house was big. We weren't allowed to walk through it or anything. So, because, they're all outside and there's just a lot of us. And, she was very nice. She stayed to herself and her, the party, whatever. But she did give us food and she's very nice,
Mm-hmm. Nice. That's good to hear.
So, but dude, the guy playing, I'm Chewbacca, and the guy playing Han Solo was a guy I met on the set of Billions. And it just irritated the hell out of me. And of course, he's playing Han Solo.
Sure, naturally.
I'm like, the guy's nice guy, but he had ADHD to the fullest for sure, or something. We're about to walk out the door, and I said, dude, can you hold on to me, or can I hold on to you, because I can't see? He goes, yeah, sure. He opens the door, he just walks out on his own. I'm like, come on, you had one job.
I'm laughing here.
I was it was challenging, but it was a cool experience,
to say the least. Challenging, yeah.
So then the other one was massive. It was epic proportions. So I had to leave the night of my birthday, which was phenomenal. I knew I was playing Darth Vader. It was a massive event. It was the biggest event in the company's history, and we were being flown to Arizona. The whole cast was being flown to Arizona.
Wow!
And I had the script emailed to me. It's Princess Leia's lines and everybody's lines, and I memorized the whole entire script. I get to the airport, and there's no Princess Leia. And I said, where is she coming? No. I'm like, well, she's in the script. Oh, yeah, we're not using that script, really. What are we doing then?
Holy Christmas, yeah.
And so they're like, oh,
Yeah.
I was like, this is the biggest event in the history of this company, and I'm playing Darth Vader. And there's no, I got lines. And there's this guy, this parkour guy. I don't know, who's this guy? And they're like, oh, he's your sidekick guy. And I'm like, they gave me a whole background story on him. I was like, I need something. They gave me more lines to memorize the night before. And I said, and then we didn't even go over the fight yet.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And so I was like, what is going on? But it was insane because they had a chauffeur pick us up from the airport, take us to this resort type hotel. All the meals were paid for, and they chauffeured us the next day to the land. There's multiple houses on this land. One, they gave us a house to change in. The other, and the party was happening at the other house. And of course, before they picked us up, we ran through the fight. There's multiple people. We ran through the whole event. There's a guy playing Yoda who was a short person. I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
3 feet tall. Mm-hmm. This is funny. Are you a wrestling fan at all?
Yes.
He had a WrestleMania match. He was one of 13 little guys against King Kong Bundy. And you can find a photo or footage. Well, I don't want to say his name, but he had a persona that was one of the biggest personas in the 80s, Anyway, I'll get down to jewelry. He's also a stripper.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it's just a whole interesting cast of people. And so we're changing in this house. And, well, actually, no, as we're going through the fight, the guy running the company is trying to get the music together. He's like, trying to figure out how he's going to play the music and trying to figure all this out right before we're going to get picked up.
Oh, my
The biggest
word.
event, we were getting paid a lot of money each. I'm like, what the heck?
Well,
of course,
yeah.
Of course, I'm one of the last ones to leave the house because beginning of the event is the Jedi training and the whole stuff, whatever. So my costume falls apart right before I'm about to go out.
Of course.
So they had to get clothespins and just all this whatever to hold it together. So I get back there and they're playing, the Darth Vader music, and I interfere, and it is crazy because it's a deck, a huge deck. Half these people were so rich, they had performers on one half of the deck, and then they had us performing. It was
right.
So we do the whole thing, and it was super, super cool because the little guy playing Yoda beat up my crony. So when I announced him, he did his parkour flip off onto the deck from outside.
Wow.
And it was super cool. He like rolls up and we did this. It was amazing.
They must have loved your performance.
And Yoda picks him up on his shoulders and slams him, and so he fails me. And I go up to my sidekick guy and I'm like giving him a hard time, and then he's like, no, Darth, no, and he runs away. And you know how Darth Vader can do stuff with the without touching?
Of course, yeah.
The Jedi power. So he grabs onto a flagpole like he's a flag, and then I bring my hand down and he falls down.
Wow!
It was incredible.
What a show! Yeah.
And so I'm burning like crazy because it's Arizona. I'm wearing like this leather stuff. Right. I'm burning through my costume. Mm-hmm. I wound up being extremely beet red in my upper body when I took the costumes off. My face was burning. Everything was burning. My hands were burning. And so I'm after the show is over, I'm doing fighting with the kids one at a time. Right. So the guy running the show pulls me aside, and then I'm like, okay. And then he goes, I'm going to bring you inside, so you can cool off. And I look over, and my sidekick is fighting these kids. I said, no, I'm Darth Vader. They want to fight me.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Boy.
So I started
anything for your craft. Yeah.
I get through everybody. I'm like, okay, take me now. Takes me to the house. I get undressed. And he goes, they want you back out there for happy birthday. So I had to put all my stuff back on.
Again, the life of an actor. But you know what,
Oh,
Dave?
my goodness.
Think of all the people you made.
But the reason why that ties into my military time is because my second base was in Arizona. And I got to see, I made my best friend, I made a best friend in Japan, and he wound up going to Arizona while I was there. So I got to see him for the first time in 8 years.
Wow, how cool is that?
Yeah.
Wow, fantastic.
And another thing, one of my best friends from Japan wound up going to when I was stationed in Japan. Then I went to Arizona, and then he got stationed the same base in Arizona, and then I moved home back to New Jersey after I got out, and he wound up performing musically in New Jersey. So we met up then too, and he's actually going to do a song for my upcoming movie too.
Oh wow! Again. Everything interweaving. And you know what, Dave? Think, all the, the physical demands that you had playing. But can you imagine how happy you made everybody? With all you went through, with you being beat red and everything. And that's another thing. I mean, it's so great, the stuff you do. That's
the thing. Like, one of the main reasons why I want to be famous, like have the face that people recognize, is because I absolutely love the work that people do with Make-A-Wish.
Okay.
All you have to do is show up. And that's it.
Yeah.
Anything else you do is even more
icing.
Beyond.
A little icing on the cake. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just to make people happy. Is you can't put a price on that.
No,
it is
priceless. You're right. It is priceless. Now, Dave, I'm going to mention a title, Haunting of Hill House. The Haunting of Hill House? I think you have a story behind that as well.
Okay.
Can't wait to hear it.
I don't recommend... Mila Kunis, the actress?
Sure, absolutely.
I don't know if you know, but she lied about her age to get on that 70s show.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, I go to this audition, right? And I'm thinking about stuff like that. And I didn't know what it was for, because for the big things, they don't tell you. Mm-hmm. You have a big role in something, they don't tell you. Usually they have like a working title or whatever. So, and my name was Tall Man. I'm like, oh, okay, no name again. What the? Come on, give me something juicy. So I go in there, and they asked me if I could use stilts, and I just made up a story. I just stumbled my way through the answer, and they're like, okay, time to perform. So I perform, and I could tell they were interested in it. I got a great reaction from an entire room full of people. So I go home, and I remember it was that day or the next day. I'm driving somewhere, and my management calls me. She goes, and when the manager calls, that means this is something big. Mm-hmm. You're about to get the role, or So she goes, Teddy, he said they really liked you, but they didn't really understand if you could walk on stilts or not. I'm like, she's like, can you walk on stilts? I'm like, well, but she goes, yes or no? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna, do, sure. I know somebody that has stilts, so I'm gonna go to her house now. Like, I try not to beat her on his answer. And you might know her name, Bettina Sky.
Oh, I had the pleasure of interviewing her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think
course,
we all know Bettina, sure.
Yeah, one of her side gigs is a clown.
Mm-hmm,
so
right.
she had stilts. So I drive an hour or so to New York to her house. and she's so nice. Like, she's a great person, just very helpful, very nice,
so nice,
very open. I go to her house for the first time. I'm like, you have stilts? She goes, yeah, I have stilts. So, we're more concerned about me trying to learn this real fast.
Right.
And I get on the stilts, and we're not thinking, but the ground's not flat. I fall over immediately. I was like, no, you don't want to fall from that high up on the concrete. That's not a good feel,
Yeah.
But it actually was helpful because I mastered it immediately.
Wow.
And, she helped me through it. I mastered it immediately. Going up, and I went back to my parents' house and going up hills on rocks. So manager, yeah, I could do it. And then so they booked me. So then they bring me in, and I still have no clue what this is for.
Right, yeah.
So they bring me in to have a meeting with me, and some of the people I auditioned in front of, they're there, and they're showing me they're showing me footage, and there's all this stuff on the screen, numbers and everything else, and I'm just like, okay, they're like, this is what your character is going to be. And I'm like, this is what my character's going to be like? I'm thinking. So they show, what they wound up showing was the unedited version of the director's take on the stuff they film. Because there's all this production stuff I could say. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to ruin it for people. But I was like, this is the crappiest thing I've ever seen in my life. I was like, what is it, a B-rated thing? How do they let all these mistakes go?
Right.
And they're like, oh, that's what I'm thinking to myself. But then I was like, wait, there's timer going up, and they're like, oh yeah, this is the pre-production for the premiere, the release of Haunting of Hill House for Netflix. So I was like, oh, that's why this looks terrible, because they didn't make the edits yet. They didn't make the adjustments, and they didn't fix the things, and this is not what they're going to show the public, basically. But I'm just like, oh, okay, how am I the one that notices these things? Completely clueless. All right, so then I go there, and this was really, really awesome. It wound up being the main event of Comic-Con. So what I didn't know at the time was the last panel, the last Q&A for Comic-Con that year was Haunting of Hill House. So they have, I'm not there, but this is what I heard. They have the cast on the stage, and they have a huge screen. They're going to show the trailer. So the cast does a Q&A. The lights go off for the trailer. While that's going on, they switch the cast members out with girls who had all this makeup on and had broken necks, because that was significant for the TV show. And we turn the lights on. The girls are on stage. The whole audience freaks out. Hundreds of people are scared out of their minds. And I heard that they were so scared that they wouldn't take the invitations from the girls. So they had to slam it into people's chests so they would take it.
Oh, man. Wow.
Yeah, so the invitation was for the private screening later on at another location, which is where I was. And they gave me prosthetics, and they did on my face and on my hands, and it was so cool because the people that were doing my makeup, so I'm sitting on the chair. I have multiple people working on me at the same time, and there's this guy who's standing behind me holding my head because my neck was really hurting. Because there was no head support.
Oh, yeah, right, of course.
It was a director's chair, so he's like,
sure.
He goes, oh, okay. I was like, do you mind if we take a break for a second because I got a cramp? And he's like, oh, no, I'll hold your head. I was like, are you holding my head? I don't want, I'm grateful, but I feel like, you're not beneath me, you're on my level or above me or something. He goes, that's okay, I do it for James Franco. He was like, for the movie, the TV show Deuce. Yeah. Deuces. I think that's what it was. The HBO show at the time.
Right.
And he goes, well, because James Franco, he teaches in like California, and then he flies to New York, so he falls asleep in the chairs they're doing his makeup. So I'm always holding his head.
Holy, oh my gosh!
And I was like, wow, these are the makeup people that work on James Franco's tattoos and all that. And
well,
cool.
In that case, sure, hold my head up.
yeah. I was like, yeah, well, have at it.
Boy, isn't that something?
Yeah, and it was so funny because when they were done, I had my clothes on, I had the thing. I'm looking around the dressing room for a mirror, and it didn't dawn on me that I just saw a mirror, and I kept looking. So I looked back because I didn't recognize myself.
Wow! Holy smokes!
It was super cool.
Freaky, yeah.
I wound up portraying the tall man who was the spirit, I guess you could say, of Henry Hill, the main father.
Yeah. Wow. Very
so
cool.
I'm like, well, one great benefit that you have when you're acting at a premiere is nobody knows what to expect from the show, so they can't say you're doing anything wrong.
Right, yeah, they haven't seen it yet, sure.
Yeah, and I knew some things, I knew points that I wanted to hit because I watched the director's take. And people were just, that place was so packed, security had to throw people out because they were in illegally.
Well, oh, man, because they were all...
And there was people were just... It was so crazy. As soon as I got off the elevator, people were freaking out. People were freaking out on the elevator, just freaking out. And
that's got to be kind of a cool feeling.
What's that?
That's got to be kind of a cool feeling.
Oh, yeah. And there's this other feeling was so crazy. No, I'll never feel this again, I don't think. Maybe I will. Who knows? They escorted me into the bar area, I guess you could say, the bar lounge where the premiere was going to be. And it is darkness. And all these people are crowded around me like a shoehorn. Mm-hmm. And all I see are flashes, the cameras. I don't know I couldn't even see faces.
Yeah, man.
And it's just, I'm doing my thing. And, I wound up walking up behind people who were sitting down. I stuck my head between them like the character does. And
Yeah.
people were saying that I should win an award. Like he should win, I don't know, I can't think of the top award, like a Emmy or whatever. Like they were just praising me like crazy.
Yeah.
And what was really funny was on the elevator ride up, the production guy was like, I'm so happy that we picked you. You got the right person.
Oh, fantastic.
And I was about to get all sentimental. Then the door opened. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're going to be scary.
Yeah, right.
Like, why'd you do that to me, man?
No time for sentiments now.
Yeah, thanks. So it was great. It was cool. A lot of fun.
Great story, man. Now, listen, back, let's see, show number 155, I want to tell our audience, one of our most listened to, watched shows was number 155 in Solomon Shurtak. Again, that name, Dave, the name. No, the great Solomon Shurtak. He's such a great guy. And when he was on my show, he was talking about this very cool, creepy, scary Trevor franchise. Now, for those who may not have heard the show, first of all, give us some background about Trevor. And this is your baby, right? You got to really, please, let's get into this.
So I like to consider myself to be a student of the game, and which means I watch all these extra videos, the special features, not just the movies. I was watching the special features for Freddy vs. Jason. Mm-hmm. I was watching the making of, and they said what Freddy's mask is made out of, which is foam latex, and it's like his skin. So I'm like, that is something I want to look into. Mm-hmm. So then, I said people were afraid of clowns, so looked up a clown mask, found one, altered it, added stuff to the look, and then at a later date. But I'm in my room, and there's two dolls laying here. One's like a ventriloquist clown doll. The other one's a bat baby. It looks like something out of the Inquirer or one of those fake newspaper things.
Right.
That my brother just happened to leave behind after he moved out. And I was like, wow, hey.
The dolls and clowns. I like it so far.
And right next to it, or somewhere in the rubble, was a green shirt that said, "This is my party shirt." I was like, woo.
Wow, hello.
And my parents had a trench coat at their house, which I think maybe belongs to my dad because nobody else knows how it got there.
Right.
And I was like, ooh. And I just found all these pieces around my room, including my military boots, a pair of pajamas, a pair of, there we go.
Wow.
Because I was going to a party and I wanted to, wear something scary, creative, something. I'd just throw something together. So I figured those are the best costumes, the ones that you create on your own.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I go to this party, and I'm scaring everybody. As soon as mind you, I have no idea what the reactions are going to be. I was just walking in, and people were just terrified. Well, because I also had a bag. I know Solomon didn't mention this, because I think this might have been pre-Solomon. I had, before Solomon got on board with the character or whatever.
Right.
Could be wrong. But I had a bag of brains. I had hands. I had prop rats with that pre-cut their throats, and I stuck blood capsules in them. So I'm like, and I stuffed it, and I put oatmeal and red food dye in the brains. So I'm eating the brains. I'm doing all this stuff.
Man, nice.
I'm drinking Gatorade blood out of real IV bag that still had the tube attached to it.
Oh my gosh!
Doing all this stuff, and everybody's freaking out. I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. Mm-hmm. And then somebody comes up to me and they said, "What movie is that from?" And I said, "What? It's not from anything." They're like, "Well, you can make a lot of money off that."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, if I can make a lot of money off this, I better write something for it." Mm-hmm. And the next thing I know, I'm writing, and now if I'm writing and I want to produce this, now I got to get into the production aspect. I got to learn about that. I got to bring in people who know about that, and I got to learn from them because I don't want to pretend like I know. And I also have to learn on my own so I can have a conversation with them. But
right.
that came a little later. I've been chased by the police while wearing this costume. I raised money for charity. I had a massive following while I was working at the mall. A security guard approached me. So what I did was I worked at a Halloween store. It was at the lower level of the mall. So I dressed up in full costume minus the mask, and I parked in the back of the parking lot, put my mask on, drove up towards this store, and parked closer. So I get out, and I just, I was sensing, I see a security guard there in his car, lights are flashing down the way. And I'm just thinking, okay. So then I walked through the department store, and then I walked to the Halloween store, and I walked straight to the back because I had to drop my bags and, to get ready for the work day. And I come back out, and my boss is like, I had to talk the cops away from you. They were chasing you. Do you know that? I'm like, no. She's like, yeah, you can't wear a mask through a department store.
Oh, yeah. Who would have thought? No, really? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm like, well, thank you. So I'm in character 8 hours a day. This costume never comes off. Anytime I'm working at this Halloween store. I've had people come in and hang out with me, even though, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm working. Like,
right.
I have a different voice, a different laugh and everything. And I had somebody sit in the store, and I thought he was waiting for his wife, but he was just there forever. And, I'm a cashier at this point. I'm the jack of all trades in this small store. And I'm Trevor,
right.
Clown, as a cashier. Didn't matter what I was doing. Then he comes up to me, he goes, you remind me of Heath Ledger as the Joker. And then he walked out.
Wow.
I said, you were just watching me the whole time?
Yeah, right.
Cool. And then,
high praise.
My manager, who had her name is Dana, she had a great personality. I'm sure she still does. We decided that I should stand out in front of the store and just, stand there. So I'm like, okay, and to scare people as they walk by. And I did. I scared people, and they fell into like a rack of clothes and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And these girls saw me moving. And then I was like, how am I going to pretend that I'm not real? I kept doing the same movement and then throwing in other movements like I was an animatronic. And they're staring at me, slowly walking. And then, I don't remember if it was them or another group of people, they walk up to me, and I'm still as can be. And this girl walks up to me. She was like, she saw that I had like neck hair, and maybe she could see like movement in my throat a little bit or whatever. And she goes, ew, he's real. I'm like, ew, and she's freaked.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, even when I was on my lunch break, I was eating with this on. And when Solomon and I go to conventions, people were watching me as I'm eating, and they take pictures of me. They ask me how much I charge for pictures. Mm-hmm. I've had people of all ages, including elderly ladies, ask me for photos. Wow. I got to the point where at the conventions, they would stop me as I'm like following Solomon. They would stop me. He would keep going. I'm like, Solomon! And he turned around, like, hey, another person? And but also what was really cool was, so back to the story about the wall.
Yeah.
I was at the lower level, and I had a security guard come up to me. He goes, you can't pass this line because you're freaking everybody out. You're loud. Everybody can hear you, all freaked out and stuff like that. And I had a crowd at the lower level and the upper level watching me.
Meanwhile, you're thinking, perfect.
Yeah.
Desired effect.
And then so my manager comes up to me, and she goes, listen, if somebody wants to take a picture of you, they have to donate $5 to charity, because the Halloween company was associated with a fantastic charity for children. Mm-hmm. So people were paying money to take pictures with me.
Cool.
For that.
Wow.
Yeah. And this other time was super funny. There's a lot of them. I can go on, but there's one last one where it freaked people out. But this kid thought he saw me moving. And then I realized that I stood still. And my boss was like, okay, she goes, maybe she's like, a little while later, this kid kept walking around looking at me. And she goes, oh, I want you to stand over here now, like just move, like whatever. I'm like, no. He thinks that I'm not real. He doesn't know if I'm real. So I'm like, I need you to drag me over there. So it was her and a coworker. I'm stiff as a board, and they dragged me over there and repositioned me. And then I scared the kid later on, of course. Yeah.
Now, I want to. You're developing this into a whole movie franchise and all. But before you even tell me about that, when Salma was a guest, he kept teasing me about the title Wirtz. And I say, what's it about, Salma? He goes, you know what? I don't want to say anything. You should speak with Dave DeCicco about it. So, would you come clean what the title Wirtz is all about?
Well, this is something. Again, in the rat cage inside of BJ's, my friend Diane and I are spending 4 hours trying to come up with a name for this movie, and I wanted something that was really short, like 4 to 6 letters or something like that, because I had an idea of what I wanted the logo to look like. Mm-hmm. And I need something really short and right to the point to fit into it. Yeah. And we couldn't come up with anything. 4 hours, nothing. I mean, we're using our phones to come up with synonyms and nothing. I was like, wow, man. So I go to sleep that night, and I have a nightmare. And it came to me in a nightmare.
Wow.
So I am on the bus going back to basic training for military, and it was a bus that I was on, and just like in real life, it was all darkness, just a bus driving into darkness. And I'm looking it's all in the nightmare. I'm looking in the, out the window, and I see a reflection. The person sitting behind me, he looked scary. He is so intense. And he goes, have you seen Wirtz? Have you seen Wirtz? I'm like, what is he saying? But and then in my, I think it was the beginning of it was the beginning of my nightmare. I saw him stabbing somebody to death, stabbing. Wow. And then it got to me on the bus. And then he said, have you seen Wirtz? Have you seen Wirtz? Have you seen? I'm like, what is he saying? What is this? I don't understand. What is this word? What is any?
Yeah.
So
right.
then my nightmare takes me to a military locker that we had during basic training. And when it comes to training, you have to, if you're not wearing a uniform, it has to be in perfect shape, has to be hanging on the outside of the door. And it's all it was this locker door. Everything else was darkness. It was the BDU, the uniform we wear, and it zoomed in on the name. The name was Wirtz. The person's name was Wirtz.
Wow.
And so I wake up. I'm like, what does this mean? I don't understand. Mm-hmm. So I looked it up, and I couldn't find a definition for it. Instead, I came up with people's names, and they were all in the field that is related to my movie.
Holy wow!
I don't want to get into the detail of it other than that.
Okay.
But then one of my friend Jen Fisher, she goes, Wes Craven. She loves Wes Craven and Robert Englund. She knows all about that. She goes, Wes Craven. Anytime he comes up with something new, she's like, he's having another nightmare. He's having another nightmare.
Wow.
So I'm like, then that's what it has to be. The name drives me insane.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But the guy in the nightmares, have you seen Wirtz? Have you seen Wirtz? And it was drilling into my head.
That
I
is
was like, then I got to keep it.
That's nicely freaky, though. You know, but in a nice way. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
It's really
and it's funny because Jen Fisher and her family gave me a really nice Christmas gift recently. It's a collage of me throughout the years with her family as Trevor has progressed, and my godkids as children, and my goddaughter who is dressed as a clown because of me and all this other stuff, and on the poster, she put a wonderful saying, and this is true for all aspects of life. Wes Craven quote says, "The first monster you have to scare the audience with is yourself."
Yeah. That's very cool.
I think that's interesting.
It is very interesting, yeah. So in other words, you have to come across to the audience.
Right, you have to present yourself before they be with something that they'll care about.
Yeah. Now,
in some way, I guess, because I feel like when people write, or just people when they do things in their life, like part of their personality or whatever, as a culmination, however you say the word, of them or experiences they've had in life.
Sure, yeah.
And if you don't go up to people, you don't talk, you just stay in your shell, you're not going to accomplish anything ever.
Now, what's going to happen with Trevor? Not the story, but I mean, this is going to be is this going to be a major motion picture? Is this what we were talking about, Dave?
Well, so I wrote 2 feature-length scripts. Right. One was Wirtz, and the other one was a comedy called Conflicted. And I submitted them both into the 2015 Capital Fund Screenplay Contest, and they both won. Wirtz placed number 17 on the top 100 hot list, and the comedy won for best comedy.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
Wow.
I spent a bunch of days in a row. It took me a total of 80 hours to write them. I took a day off from the comedy by writing the horror and vice versa. And they won. I'm like, so now I got to produce this stuff because that's what I think is the right thing to do.
Sure.
And I went for the comedy first, and I got a distribution offer, and I got all the stuff going forward and blah blah blah. And I was like, but the horror is going to sell. I'm new to this. The horror is what sells, no matter what. So I was like, I got to make this, but I can't because the opening scene is so insane that that'll cost me a lot of money. So I'm like, well, what do I do? And Solomon said, make a short film version of it because that's what people do to get, a deal to make the feature.
Yeah.
I said, I don't want to do that because I don't want to get rid of the story. I don't want to put it out there. I want it to be its own thing. So then that's when I decided to do a short film sequel called Trevor.
Right.
So that's going to definitely hit as many festivals as I can submit it to, and we'll take it from there. Because and another thing that's good about these conventions is you not only meet actors, but you meet people who can help. Like people who work productions and
contacts.
So do their own films and stuff like that, and they'll some of them will accept it. If they're looking for stuff, they just say, "Here's my personal email. Do this. Send it here. We'll see." So right now, I don't want to say which distribution company offered me something because I haven't signed with them yet.
No, absolutely, I understand.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at right now.
That's what we have to look forward to. Oh man, I guess. I mean, this has been probably the thing that's been keeping you busy nowadays.
It's insane. I don't. If I'm sleeping, it's because I passed out.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm doing the pre-production. I'm running everything, and writing multiple drafts of the script, keeping people up to date, getting everything. And like I said, I got people who are excellent, who are award winners, who have their movies in the festivals, who have connections to festivals, this is funny. Because, characters, they have their roles in the movie. I'm like, well, your character winds up doing this, and your character winds up doing this. It got to the point where at one of my meetings, I started laughing because one of my actors is like, oh, I deal with this at work, and I have this type of equipment that will allow me to do this to help you out with that. And I'm like, and I'm laughing. He goes, no, I'm serious. I'm like, I know you're serious. But the thing is, every time I give somebody something to do, they're like an expert on it.
Right. Yeah.
Like this one guy I'm fighting is a former pro wrestler in the independent circuit. He goes, oh, I can do this, and I know this, and they're like taking the production on themselves.
Everybody knows better.
Yeah, like, don't worry about this, Dave. I'll handle this. You do other stuff you got to do.
Yeah.
I'm like, I already knew that these people were fantastic, but I don't think I could have, cast this any better.
Yeah.
I'm like, how did I get so lucky? This is incredible. Because throughout the years, you get a lot of yeses, a lot of no's, like this, that, the other thing. But for this, like 99% yes.
Yeah.
And I'm available then too. So am I. So people that I want to work with, in the past, all are saying yes to this project.
Well, from the little I've seen, I just it's people are going to totally love this and
thank you,
be into it totally. I look so forward to it. I really do. And having spoken with you, I'm not surprised. It's going to be top-notch quality, Dave. And I really
it's going to be. We actually started filming already.
You know what? During the pandemic, how did that work? Did you have to stop? Did you?
Well, we had to do a rush shoot because we were losing one of the locations. So it was just me and the cameraman. So we had no problems with that.
Yeah.
And the makeup artist.
Sure.
That was really it. Of course, it was my first day of filming, so my beautiful, supportive wife Megan was there for my first ever day. She brought our fur children for the support, and she wore a horror clown shirt of mine, just to show the support, which was really great.
Yeah. Hey,
so since it was just the two of us, it was like no big deal.
Yeah. How are your kids when they see you dressed up? Do they know it's
scared?
Daddy? I was going to say
scared, barking, terrified, absolutely terrified. The dogs are terrified.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my dog wouldn't even go back into the room. And I could see her like kicking her head around the corner at a distance, and just
oh man.
And then I had to convince her. After I took the costume off, I had to convince her. I'm like, hey, it's me.
Yeah, right.
I had to drop down to her level. And she's like, but yeah, hate it.
That's cute. So, Dave, I'm imagining. Throughout, my goodness, all of your activities so far in acting, you must have gotten some advice from people. Anything you want to share?
Yeah, definitely. Well, you won't believe where I got my first advice. So I was working overnight stock at ShopRite, and it's overnight, stores closed. Who cares? I remember I was wearing like a white pair of shorts, a beat up net shirt, just whatever.
Right.
And you work with people, you tell them about yourself, and so this guy knew I was into acting. One of my coworkers, and he goes, Dave, he goes, like, hey, he goes, Derek Luke is here. And he's from like Antoine Fisher. He's from Captain America. And Antoine Fisher is one of my all-time favorites. And so I'm like, oh man. I'm like, he goes, forget working. Go up there and talk to him. I was like, okay, So there I am in my beat-up Mets shirt.
Right.
I'm being respectful because my dad told me be respectful. We met the biggest people in sports: Kobe, Peyton Manning, blah blah blah. Be respectful. Be respectful. So I'm waiting at the end, and he checks out, and then I'm like, I like the Antoine Fisher. I'm like talking like that, trying not to draw attention. And he's like, oh, thank you. Well, that man talked to me for so long that the guy he was with was leaning up against the wall. And we're talking, and then he's about to walk out. And I said, oh, one more thing. I have like an audition coming up. Like, I'm nervous and all this other stuff. And he goes, they are just as excited to meet you as you are to meet them, or they wouldn't be there.
Wow.
I was like, whoa.
What? Yeah.
He's like, okay. He's like, I really got to get going. My mom's waiting in the car. I was like, I'm sorry. He goes, God bless you.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. That is fantastic.
And I was like, that's so true, because they're there to get the best person for the job. They want you to succeed. Casting directors.
Sure. Yeah. That is some great advice, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I spoke to this writer who wrote one of my favorite movies, and he was saying the word she when I came up with her, and I'm like, she, her. I don't know what you're talking about. It's one of my favorite movies. And between what he said and listening to interviews with all the top notch writers, they all fail. They all failed it, and they get the notices of rejection, but they keep them. They put them on their walls and stuff. And you only need that one yes. You just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I'll tell you, you must have some great inner fortitude to just to keep doing what you're doing. I mean, you're obviously, so successful at what you do, but I mean, the rejections would kill me, Dave. I mean, I think one rejection I would say, forget it. But that's not the way to go, right?
Well, yeah, that's why you make your own stuff. You're not going to reject yourself.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
And you got to make people see you that way, because if all these people who are not in the industry like it, then the industry people are going to be like, "Whoa, what are they liking?"
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
And I had Lance Hendrickson from Aliens.
Yes, sure.
Solomon, he's like, Dave was on Quantico, and I said, yeah, but I haven't gotten anything in a while. He goes, that's okay. He goes, the success rate isn't very high. He goes, we all don't get all the roles. Don't worry about it.
See, that is so great to hear people that have made it
show
you that they too have gone through the downside.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I spoke to Kevin Smith a couple of times.
Oh, great. I love Kevin Smith.
Yeah, because then his whole story about how he filmed that night, he was gone, and all this other stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And put everything on his credit cards. He goes, don't do that. Don't do that. He goes, I got lucky. Don't do that. Especially you're married. Don't do that.
Yeah. Yes. That's something else, Dave. I mean, life outside of acting. I mean, that creeps in. There's all these other things you have to worry about. Just life. Yeah.
And he said, film within your means. Don't film something. Don't write a script for somebody in outer space, because you don't have a spaceship.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever's around you at home. Mm-hmm. Just like live within your means in general.
That is great advice. And you know what? In life too, not only in film.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was so nice to me that we were told to stop talking and keep it moving. Like, he was so nice. And that was the second time I spoke to him, and he remembered me from the first time.
Wow.
And Chanel Ryan, really quick. The actress.
Yeah, she's been a guest. Yeah, very nice.
Oh, yeah. And I met her at a convention, and I was dressed as Trevor. And we were telling her how Lloyd Kaufman from Trauma was talking to me about my character. He said, we just made a movie about a clown. It's a shame. But he's like, but you can be in the next movie. He goes, we'll stick you in there. And she goes, don't do that, because then you become his property. You don't want your first appearance in his. You do your own thing. Don't do that. What is it going to do for you? Not much, but not in a positive way.
Yeah, sure. That's valuable.
Yeah, for sure.
Good old Chanel, man.
Yeah.
Now, Dave, before we say goodbye, I mean, we've been speaking almost 2 hours, and I still feel like there's a ton more things that we can talk about. Would you first promise me you'll come back and, in a bit and talk about more stuff?
Absolutely.
Thanks. So,
one of the reasons why I'm doing that is because you're very professional and you're very, respectful. Even if I accidentally talk over you, which I don't mean to do ever, you're just roll with it. Because I've had people when I did an interview, they just talk over me. To the point where I said, is it okay if I just mention one more thing? And he goes, yeah, sure. And I said, okay. And I start to talk, and he talks over me. He goes, oh, that's it for the show. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. But I even caught myself talking over you a few times. But I don't want to say goodbye yet, because I do want to ask you one other thing, Dave. When writing your script, right?
Yes.
What are there any sources or do you look to something for inspiration, or have you watched any kind of videos or things?
Well, yeah, aside from the obvious ones where it would be like special features on disc and stuff and documentaries, there's this channel that's called Everything Wrong With. Everything Wrong With. It's like everything wrong with Scream in 15 minutes or less. Everything wrong with all these iconic movies.
You know what? I've heard of this YouTube channel. I got to watch it now that you mention it. Please, tell us about it. Yeah.
And it's crazy because I was like, what is wrong with Scream? I love Scream. That's a perfect movie. What is wrong with Nightmare on Elm Street? What is it? There's nothing. But they got 15 minutes on everything that's wrong. And they call it a sin. Sin or something like that.
Right.
If there's something they don't like about it.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff is petty and just dumb. I'll be honest, that they mark off. But some of the stuff is incredible. My goodness, some of the things that they miss just blows my mind. Like, for example, Nancy, Heather Langenkamp, when she has a nightmare, Freddie attacks her. He rips her clothes. He smashes the glass and of her bedroom and gets in and rips her clothes up. But then she wakes up and her clothes are ripped, but the window is fine.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
And you probably I didn't notice that. I bet you hadn't noticed it either until he put it out.
Yeah. And with Chucky, the house blew up. But how is he fine? How is this? How is that? How did he escape? Blah blah blah. And also, this kid brings Chucky to like a junkyard, and then leaves Chucky to walk away to relieve himself. And then the kid comes back and Chucky's not there, and then hears a loud screaming noise, and he goes, "Chucky!" It's like, why would the kid assume that the person is screaming because of Chucky? It's just a doll.
Yes. Yep.
And also when Chucky was approaching this house, I forget why he was doing it, but this guy was shooting at him, shooting at a noise or shooting at whatever. And then when the kid comes running up, the guy he pulls out the gun but doesn't shoot. Well, why would he not shoot the kid?
Right.
And there's one that made me do a big rewrite was in Scream, when Neve Campbell visits one of the frat houses, she walks out. She's not even part of this fraternity. As she's walking out, I think she's even outside at this point. The phone rings, and then she answers it, and then it's Ghostface. And Ghostface attacks her. And they're like, "What would possess her to go in and answer a phone if she doesn't live there? She's not in the frat."
Exactly.
And I was like, "It's not her house." Rewrite. This, I'm like, oh.
Everything That's Wrong is the name of the YouTube channel.
Yes. Yeah. I highly, highly recommend it.
And you found that very, very useful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Dave, I'll tell you, boy, I can't thank you enough. This was 2 hours, and it feels like we've been talking for 15 minutes. You're such a great guest. You're so knowledgeable. I mean, your stories are fantastic. That's why I really, really can't wait for you to come back on sometime. And I just want to say thank you. And thanks for all the work you're doing. I can't wait for Trevor now. I mean, it's just been a pleasure speaking with you, Dave.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a joy. You said you feel like it's been 15 minutes. Well, I feel like I've been talking for 14 minutes and 59 seconds. So.
See? All right, cool. So we're on the same page with that. All right, Dave. We will definitely be in touch with each other. And thanks so much, Dave.
Yes, thank you so much.
David DeCicco, everybody. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Pop culture, hosted by Steve, Ludwig, and Blair. It's classic pop culture. It's classic pop culture. It's classic pop culture.